So, I have been asked to tell this story, and I thought it would be easier to do it this way than to try and write it down because it is so complex and yet so mind-boggling and fascinating. I tell people when they ask me how my Christmas was, I tell them I had the best Christmas I have probably ever had in my entire life. This past Christmas was amazing. And so I want to share with you why that is. And I get asked to tell this story, and I haven't told it to a lot of people, but when I tell them this story, it blows their mind. It still blows my mind. It's mind-boggling when I think about what happened. But let me back up to about October or so. I was having a little pain from here to here on my left shoulder, and it was intense every day. And it was the kind of pain that it really didn't matter what you did, it wasn't going away. So I was sharing this with a friend of mine, and he said, would you be interested in going to massage therapy? Because I understand you're trying to get to the end of the year and then your deductible starts and you can go and get real tests come January. And I said, I would be open for that because right now I haven't used my deductible for the year. So if I go now and then I use my deductible and then I got to turn around and use it again, should they find something? So he's like, I'll get back to you. I said, okay. So in the meantime, I had been in the middle of leading a 10-week session on Rooted, which was a disciple-making class at my church. And some of you have been in Rooted, and some of you are taking it now. And if you haven't taken Rooted, I would highly suggest it. But I was facilitating a all-ladies group, 10-week Rooted class. And one of the elements of Rooted is serving. And you pick a weekend and you go and you serve somebody that needs help. And so I knew of a woman that needed some assistance. Now, I didn't think of her immediately when we were asked to pick our group. Instead, I called the church office and I said, hey, I would like to have the list of widows that are in the church, and we'll call a couple of widows and we'll try and help them out. So we got the list of widows, and there's 8 pages of widows, at least 8 pages of widows, their name, their address, their phone number. So we're like, well, I don't know any of these ladies, so we'll start with the letter A and we'll start calling. So the assistant teacher in my group, she started calling widows and she couldn't get either an answer or anybody that said they needed assistance. And after 2 days of doing this and going through a couple of pages of widows, we just said, you know what, this isn't going to work. We need to come up with an option pretty quickly because we got to turn it into the guy who's leading this whole thing. And so I came up with an idea and said, you know what, I know a woman in the church who really needs assistance. Like, she has a very serious condition, and her life right now is in turmoil. And you know what? I wonder if she could use our help. So I called her up and said, is there any way that we could come out there? Here's what we're doing. Here's why we're doing it. And she was so gracious. She's like, please, I need the help. It was awesome. So we went out and we did our survey project at her house. And it was fabulous. We got a lot done in the yard. We helped clean up her garage. I mean, we helped this family, and it was so fulfilling for us just as much as it was fulfilling for them. So we get this done. So I'm dealing with this pain. Well, at the same time that that's going on and we're finishing up Rooted, we're nearing the finish line on Rooted, a woman at work showed me a picture of a wooden Christmas tree, and she said, is there any way that you could make this wooden Christmas tree for my daughter-in-law? And I looked at the picture and I said, that looks easy enough. I can do that. And so I took the measurements that they wanted, and I proceeded to, put together, try and come up with an idea of how do you cut this, what angle do you cut it, and so on. Well, I was passing by this fence company on my way home, and I look over, and they had just put out this huge stack of used fencing. And I pulled over on the side of the road and pulled over and looked at this fencing, and it was perfect. It was green, it was used, it was, because she wanted it distressed looking. This fencing fit the description perfectly. It had scalloped tops on it, and so here I'm loading up my car with this fencing as much as I can get in my car with this fencing, and thinking in my mind, I'm going to be back to get more. And I decided, if I'm going to go through the trouble of making one tree, then I'm going to make multiple trees. And I think I'm going to make a couple of mangers. Well, I was sharing this with some friends, and one of my friends came back and said, hey, is there any way you can make my mom and dad a stable? Okay, I'll make a stable. And then another one of my friends said, hey, I'd really like to get my friend a cross. Can you make a cross? Okay, I've never made this stuff before, but okay. So I'm making all of this stuff. Well, I'm going back to that wood pile, and I'm throwing in more wood in the back of my car. More wood, more wood, more wood. The guy that I mentioned, the pain to, calls me a couple days later, and he said, hey, took me a little while to track this down, but he said, my wife and I finally tracked down this massage therapist that we heard about. She moved, and I sent my father-in-law over there, and her office had moved, and then my sister-in-law had to go and find her, and he said, long story short, we purchased 3 massage sessions for you. And I'm like, what? Like, wow. Like, that's so generous. Thank you so much for doing that. I can't wait, to get in and have the massage therapist try and work on this pain, because it was so painful. So I make my first appointment. I go to the massage therapist, and she finds the problem spot almost immediately, like right in here, and is working on that thing. And I'm almost to the point of tears because it hurts so bad. But by the end of session 1, I'm feeling so much better than when I went in there. And by this time, I have so many wood orders. I have orders to make 10 Christmas trees. I've got the stable, I've got the cross, I'm making the mangers. And then in the midst of that, we get a call from the woman that we did the service project for, asking for our help, financial help. Is there any way that your group could help me for Christmas? And of course, knowing her situation and how dire it was, we said, yes, we'll do what we can to help you for Christmas. So we talked with the ladies in the group, and we said, here's what we're going to do. We want to raise some money for her and her family, and we're going to give her a donation so that she can get Christmas for her child. And everybody's on board, and it's awesome, right? Well, the wood orders are coming in, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to give the money from the wood things that I make, the money that I make, I'm just going to give it to her. That's going to be my donation. Not a problem. I was going to give her cash anyway, so I might as well just take that cash and give it to her. Thinking in my mind, it's probably not going to be much. I mean, I'm not charging much for these things. And, well, this thing starts snowballing. And I go to session number 2 with the massage therapist, and I'm feeling like $1 million now, because the pain is just about gone. And she's given me some things to do to try and stretch the top, the area and everything. And I'm feeling so good about this. And so Rooted finishes. And we had a fabulous celebration night. in the middle of November, finishing Rooted. It was awesome. And all these wood things are happening. And then I get a text from another friend of mine. She says, hey, can you make this snowman, a wooden snowman? And I look at it and I'm like, well, it can't be any harder than making a wooden Christmas tree or a stable or a cross. So shoot, send it over. I'll give it a try. So I end up making a snowman. And of course, I'm like, I'm not just going to make one snowman because I can't. I mean, I have so much wood that my wood pile from the fencing company continues to put wood out there, and I continue to go by there and take it and load up my car with it. And just, to clarify, it was out by the street for them to throw away. So it was all free. So everything that I'm making, all these things I have orders for, is all being made out of reclaimed wood. So I had very little cost in it except for my labor and nails and things like that. So there's a pool company across the street from this fence company, and they start putting out pallets. And I started getting the wood pallets out of their pile by the street that they were throwing away. So between the two places, I'm getting all the wood I could possibly need to make the Christmas trees, the stable, the cross, and the snowmen. And long story short, on that particular part, I made 10 Christmas trees, 1 stable, 1 cross, and 14 snowmen out of reclaimed wood in less than 2 months. Now, why I tell you that is because we took the money that I made from doing all of that, and we combined it with the other ladies in the Rooted class when we met in December, and we gave the lady a very nice gift, right? So I'm thinking, we're done, we did our part, everything's good. Well, I go to my third and last massage appointment, and I'm laying on the table, face down, and she's working on this spot up here. And we're talking, and she goes, how's everything been? And I said, I've been so busy making these wood creations, but I have to tell you, I'm feeling so much better than I was. And I said, God is just so good. And she says, speaking of God, she goes, doing a little church shopping. She said, I've been looking around. And she said, I found this church. She goes, and I've been there twice, and I really enjoy it. And she said, I don't know if you'll know where it's at, but she says, this church out in Apopka called Journey. And I'm like, really? That's my church. And she's like, what? I said, that's my church. And she says, well, then what is this Rooted thing that they're talking about? And I said, well, funny you should say that, because I just finished facilitating 10 weeks of the Rooted discipleship course. And she's like, what? And I said, yeah. I said, part of the reason why I'm here and what we've been doing, I said, we do a service project. And I said, and I had some pain. And I said, and now, I said, all the wood things that I'm doing, that money all went to the same lady. I said, and she's got this and this and this going on. And she goes, stop, wait a minute. And I'm laying there face down going, like, what's the problem? I can't see you, so what's the problem? She said, hold on a second. She said, I go to a white elephant Christmas party every year down the street. And she goes, every year, she said, the hostess of the home collects money for a needy family. And she said, we don't have a needy family picked out this year. And I'm like, what? What are you trying to say exactly? She goes, we don't have a needy family picked out this year. And the family that you are describing to me sounds needy and sounds like they need help. And I said, well, yeah. I said, she had asked us to help her financially. she said, I think that family would be perfect for our group. When you get home, email me the details of this woman and what's going on. And she said, and I will let the hostess of the party know. And she goes, and I'll send you the invite and you can come. And I'm like thinking to myself, coming to a white elephant Christmas party where I know not a soul, and I've only known you for 2.5 hours, and half the time I've been looking at the floor. I haven't even seen you. But okay, when I get home, I'll send you the details. So I get home and I email them to her, and I get a response back. It says, thank you so much. I'm going to share your information. Here's the invitation. I want you to come, and you bring a gift, and I'll see you on the 18th. And I'm like, okay. So time flies by. I'm out of massage sessions, free ones. And my shoulder is feeling like $1 million. I don't have the pain anymore. The wood is still appearing in the piles. I'm still getting orders for snowmen. I went to Home Depot to buy the washers for the snowman's eyes, because that's what I was using for the snowman. And I forgot to get the washers. And I walk out of there and I'm driving down the road back to my house, and I'm like, the whole reason why I went into Home Depot was to get washers. This is ridiculous. I'm like losing my mind. I can't even remember to buy 6 washers for these snowmen, because I've got 3 more snowmen to make. So I need 6 washers. So I drive by the fence company where I get all my wood and everything, and I'm like, oh, they got some nice pallets out here. I got to snag these things. So I pull over and I open the back of my car and I start throwing in pallets. And when I get down to about the 3rd pallet, there are 6 washers sitting on top of that pallet. The exact size that I use for those snowmen. And I'm standing there like, you got to be kidding me. Like, Lord, like, there's 6 washers here. You know, and I just said to myself, Lord, you know what? You care about the little things. Even the little things like washers, and they were on the pallets waiting for me. Waiting for me. And of course, I grabbed them, grabbed me another pallet, loaded up the back of my car, and came home and was like, I don't have to go to Home Depot and get washers now, because here they are. I can finish this. So I finished these snowmen, and the party date is coming. Now, I've heard nothing. I've heard nothing from them as to whether they chose my family or not. And so I emailed my massage therapist, and I said, hey, you know, are you still going to this party? You know, I don't know. You know, what are you doing? And she writes me back, yes, I'm still going. And you need to come. Bring your gift. And she goes, oh, and I'm going to be a half an hour late. And I'm like, oh, I know nobody there. You're going to be late. The only person that I've known for 3 hours is going to be late. I don't even know. I don't have a gift ready. I'm like, oh, geez. So I'm like, I gotta go. I already told her that I would go. Even though they didn't pick my family, obviously they haven't picked my family because they haven't reached back out to me for any more details. So they probably picked somebody else. And, you know, word gets around that you don't have a family picked. And, well, of course, you know, people are going to submit multiple ideas. And so I'm thinking, you know, gosh, I kind of feel obligated to go. So I'm like, a gift. What am I going to do? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take one of the top of the fence posts that looks like a fish, and I'm going to make a fish out of this thing, drill a hole in it, put a ribbon through it, and somebody can hang it on their tree. Seriously. So that's what I did, and it looked so cool. Put glued googly eyes on it. It was really cool. So that's what I did. So I go to this party. And I turn down the street, and it's dark already. I turn down the street, and there are cars down the street for as far as I can see. And I can't see the house numbers. So I have no idea what house this is that I'm going to, because I can't see the numbers because it's dark and there's cars everywhere. But I see women walking all into the same direction with package in their hand. And I'm like, okay, that must be the place. And so I walk up on the place with my bag. There's two ladies standing there. I don't know them at all. They don't know me. We introduce ourselves. Hi, how are you? Make small talk. Walk into the house. The owner of the house comes up. Hi, I'm so-and-so. Make yourself at home. Beverages over there. Food over there. Trees over there. Put your package under there. Make yourself at home. Doesn't ask me who I am. Doesn't ask me who I know. I'm a complete stranger inside this lady's house. But the one thing I did notice when I walked in the door is right there on the bar top was a nativity scene. And I'm like, all right. I feel all right. So I walk in and there are a ton of women there. And there has been like 40 women at this place, at this party, at this White Elephant Exchange. The massage therapist that I know hadn't shown up yet. So I sit down, I'm talking with this lady. We find out that we know the same people through work, which was a cool connection. And then my massage therapist finally shows up. And she's talking with the owner of the house. And I hear them say, oh yeah, the lady that told me about that is right here. And they turn around and they look at me. And I'm like, what? Like, what's going on right now? And they said, well, we chose your family to give the gift to. Whatever money we collect tonight is going to your family. And I'm like, what? This is awesome. Like, I had no idea. Wow, okay. So she comes up to me and she goes, now I'm going to say a couple of things about them, and I'm just going to keep it really, I'm not going to go into details and use names and all that stuff, and correct me if I'm wrong, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. She goes, and then we're going to start. Okay, cool. Well, she spends like not even a minute talking about the family, tells the people, okay, the box for collection is by the door. Drop your cash in there on the way out if you feel led to give to this family. So everything's cool. They start the White Elephant Gift Exchange. I'm number 38 out of 41 people. My fish got picked at number 36. The lady that picked it was a little less thrilled about this fish. She kind of held it up like, what is this? And I could just see her excitement when, it wasn't there. So I'm like, you know what? I think what I'll do, I'm number 38. When it comes my turn, I'm going to go and steal my fish back. She has no idea that I brought it, and she can pick something else, which is exactly what I did. And the lady walked out of there with a big fat tin of Ghirardelli chocolates, which I was like, you can thank me later, because that was a nice gift that you walked out of there with. And I'm taking my wooden fish head back home. So that happens. Everybody's mingling, and I'm looking around going, you know what? I'm here for the night. They picked my family. I'm here for the duration, and I'm okay with that. I'll help clean up at this point. So about an hour after this party is over, after the White Elephant Gift Exchange is over, and the crowd is thinning out and everything, and me and the massage therapist are sitting here talking, and she's asking me about Rooted and all these questions and everything, and I'm trying to answer them, and the lady of the house comes walking up to me and she goes, here, this is for you. It's $423. And I'm like, what? It's a wad of cash. She hands it to me and she said, I don't need to know anything, because I believe that God is going to do a great thing with this. And she goes, and I don't need to know anything else. And I'm just blown away at this point. Because you just handed a complete stranger over $400, and you just said, I have complete faith in what's going to happen, right? And I'm standing there just like, wow, what's going on? Like, God, what are you doing? Like, what is happening right now? So my massage therapist comes up after, and she's like, so how much was raised? And I told her, and she's like, well, I haven't put mine in. And I'm like, okay. So she goes, where's the box? I'm like, I don't know. I don't run this place, So she finds the box and she goes around to the rest of the people that are still there to make sure that they contributed also, and comes back with another $200. And I'm like, okay, now I'm going to need a bodyguard to walk to my car because I'm parked at the end of the street and you guys are letting me walk out of this house with over $600. Really? Like a complete stranger, and I've known you for 3 hours. And half that was on my stomach. I couldn't even see you. It was crazy. It was crazy. And the wood is still coming in. And so we are able to hand this poor woman who's struggling even more money. And we're just sitting there going, this is only by the hand of God. Because as soon as we finished handing over that second sum of money, all of the wood at both the fence company and the pool company dried up. Like, I had taken all I was getting from there, and somebody else took the rest, so there was none by the side of the road for me to take. My shoulder had no more pain. I had made, like I said earlier, all these wood things, 10 trees, 14 snowmen, a stable, 2 crosses, because I got a second cross. Oh, and then I got an order for a farmer thing. I mean, it was crazy. But then I had to go back because when that happened, then I went and talked to one of the pastors at church, and I said, you are not going to believe this. You have to hear this story of what came out of, from doing the serving project at this woman's house to here to here to here to here, and him saying to me, well, there was a lady that I wanted you to talk to, and she has a bunch of questions and everything. And when I got done telling him the story and telling him that I talked to this lady at the party, and he says, what? Asked me her name, and it was the same lady that he wanted me to talk to, and he hadn't given me her name and number yet. And he's like, well, I don't have to give you her name and number now because you already answered all her questions. You already talked to her. This is amazing. Like, what is going on here? And I'm like, you tell me. I don't even know, except to say that I'm seeing God work all around me and getting to watch it. And there are so many people, many of you who purchased wood items from me that contributed to this woman and helped make her Christmas for her and her son fabulous. Much better than it would have ever been. We helped bring her a little peace for the Christmas holiday and a little less stress. And so then I had to go back and I had to tell the woman at work who asked me to make the very first tree, I'm like, you have to know this story. And I had to go and tell the guy and his wife who bought me the 3 massage sessions, look, you have to know this story, right? You have to know this story. And I had to go back to the ladies in my rooted class and say, you guys have to know this story because you all were involved in this story, and you may not realize the impact that you had and what God was doing in and through you to minister to someone who is hurting. All from a wooden Christmas tree, a serving project, and a massage therapist. I mean, it's a crazy combination. All from having pain, of which I don't have right now. Haven't had. I mean, I had one day the other day, and it's gone. It's crazy. It's like, wow, Lord. Wow. So it was the best Christmas ever, because to me, that's what Christmas is really about. It's the giving so freely of ourselves in ways that people don't even realize, and people being a part of something much bigger than themselves that turns around and blesses somebody else. and helps them. And it didn't come in fancy paper with fancy bows on top and with a gift receipt. It just came out of love for another human being and trying to help them. And so I've wanted to share this story with you for a while now, and I don't know how else to reduce it down to less than 30 minutes because there's so many elements to this, so many facets and layers to it. I mean, I've probably left something out. I will probably think of it when we're done, but there's so many elements and facets to it, and the woodworking continues. I mean, I'm still, looking at things that people are saying, well, can you, make this or what have you? We've given our things to the woman so she's good, but I'm sitting back going, wow, I was just part of something really major. And Lord, me? You used me? Like me. Sinful me, the worst of sinners. You used me, and you let me see it. You let me be a part of it. And what has come out of the Rooted experience, for those of you who have always asked, well, what about this Rooted? I don't know that I believe it or whatever. Let me tell you, the Rooted experience that I just went through, the 10 weeks with the group of ladies that I was with, was fabulous. We had a phenomenal experience. The women in there came in. Nobody knew each other. We sat down, and by week 3, they were dumping some pretty big things in there amongst each other because we had already cohesed together. We had already just connected as a group of women, just talking about real life issues and how God could handle those. And to come out of that after 10 weeks, and the things that we saw, and the growth that we saw in each other, and the changes that we saw in each other was just mind-boggling. It just blows your mind. And it's still happening among those women. It's still happening. We're now a life group together. We're now sitting around talking about stuff, praying with each other, studying the Bible together, getting together, supporting each other in group texts, and it's just awesome. It's just awesome. So, sometimes, there's several things that I learned from this. One, God pays attention to details, very much to the details, in your life and in mine, okay? I forgot the washers. And he supplies 6 washers. I mean, it's crazy. I took a picture because I'm like, people aren't going to believe this. He pays attention to those that are hurting. He sees their pain and he pays attention to their hurting, right? It gives you what you need. He gives you what you need. He supplies what you need if you ask him, right? And he works on changing you and making you better. He works on refining you and not getting, I always say we're like diamonds in the rough. We're like diamonds in the rough where we get chipped, and God is working on us. We're like diamonds in the rough. And he's doing that in our lives. And it's amazing. It's amazing. So I wanted to share that story with you. I know it went, a little longer than it should probably, but I don't know how else to break this down and make it shorter. Because like I said, there are so many elements to it. So I pray that, after you hear this, that if you are struggling or you're losing hope or you're not sure that God sees you or you're not sure that God even hears you or even cares, I hope that this story will change your mind and will encourage you and let you know that God does care, that he does see you, and he does want even the little things for you. He cares about those too. All right? Well, welcome 2019. Make it a great year. Don't sit around waiting for things to happen. Go get them. Bye.